Welcome to the house of Ithiel, a spirit from Jehovah. On the 26th of June 2024, the man of God received divine messages from God to the nations. The prophet said repeatedly on this channel, "So airline crashed and we should pray. This is a result of a bad clouds from the enemy." Also, the prophet said we should pray churches in the world that persecution is coming for the church. Although this prophecy became available on the 10th of August, but has been given on 26th of June 2024. Let us hear what the prophet said and how it came to pass few weeks after the prophecy.
Also, oppressions of the church. Oppressions of the church is coming. Like, I even see one that was very clear, like a wooden chocolate cross was in the front of this and it was being destroyed. It will happen in many countries, from USA to all over.
Local authorities are threatening churches and nonprofits with fines and other legal action, accusing them of violating zoning laws and local ordinances by housing and feeding homeless people.
About 6 years ago, we started using trailers on the backside of our property, 2 trailers on the backside of our property to help those that are struggling in our community.
For several years, the Rock Church in Castle Rock, Colorado provided shelter to people experiencing homelessness in an RV and trailer behind the church. The church's ministries also include food distribution, job training, financial assistance, and other efforts to help them transition into long-term solutions. However, at least one neighbor isn't comfortable with the location of the temporary shelters.
Without any access to basic locations of groceries, work, I don't feel like this is the right place for it.
Between 2021 and 2023, the town ordered the church to cease its ministry. Recently, a judge ordered the ministry could continue housing people in their RVs while the case is heard in the courts.
But it's really difficult for pastors to not only be under these constant threats by the government, have to talk to attorneys in an area that they don't really know that much about, but then also have to continue to care for the desperate ministries around them.
Jeremy Dice, an attorney with First Liberty, is representing the church in its lawsuit against the town for violating the right to practice religion.
This is why we filed a lawsuit because of our religious freedom to continue to do what we believe we're called to do.
It's not only religious freedom at stake. For those being helped, it could mean the difference between staying on the streets or getting a chance at starting a new life.
If it wasn't for this trailer and this church, I feel I would have been in the same position because I wouldn't have left that element that I needed to get away from.
Similar legal battles are being fought across the country. In Byron Center, Ohio, First Liberty is representing Pastor Chris Avell of Dad's Place, who faced nearly 24 criminal charges for housing the homeless. Those charges have since dropped. And in California, a federal judge gave Micah's Way a favorable ruling protecting their outreach efforts.
It is not of God oppressing the church. They are trying to colonize the church. Churches will be closed, drag the pastors, people running. Persecution will be, persecution will be, so we should start praying.
More than 8,000 churches and mosques have been shut down in Rwanda this month for not meeting health and safety standards. Most of them have the country's places of worship and have been found to be violation of several regulations. The first major crackdown since a law tightening up operations was brought in 5 years ago. Clamadi Roma brings us more from Kigali.
The Rwanda Governance Board announced this week that it has already closed more than 7,700 places of worship across the country in recent weeks, the majority of which are small Pentecostal churches, but also several mosques. Most of the buildings constructed without adhering to national standards were deemed unsafe to host worshippers or insufficiently soundproofed. The leaders of these places must also present a degree in theology, for example. These criteria are the result of a 2018 law. At the time, President Paul Kagame stated that the country did not need so many places of worship. Churches and mosques had 5 years to comply, but several thousand have failed to do so. A pastor was arrested on Tuesday for continuing to operate after the closure of his church in the eastern part of the country. Another pastor, one of the few to publicly criticize the measure, called it extreme. He went as far as describing the closures as being institutionally violent, however, retracted his statements just a few days later.
Airlines, like as I've said earlier, airlines, weather will not be fair to them. The weather is being attacked spiritually. A cloud of Satan covering the sky.
Well, breaking news in the past hour from Brazil, where a passenger plane has crashed while flying to Sao Paulo. Local media outlets say it had 62 people on board. Let's get more on this story from our correspondent Emma Birchley, who's following the updates. Emma, what do we know so far?
Yeah, 62 people on board, 4 of whom were members of the crew. It was at 1:30 local time, about 5:30 UK time, that contact was lost with the aircraft. Now, I must warn you, we're about to show you some video of the moments as that plane loses control, is spiralling downwards to the ground. So you can see it here. I mean, truly horrific. The plane spirals and then hits the ground. There's a pause, and then a short time later, a black plume of smoke rises into the sky. It came down on the city of Vinhedo in the state of Sao Paulo, which is in the southeastern part of Brazil. And what is very concerning is that this is a residential area, we understand, with a number of houses. At the moment, it's not clear how many people have been killed and injured in this, but you can see the flames there, and there's been smoke coming from the fuselage. An aircraft operated by a Brazilian airline called Vopas Linhas Aéreas, based in Sao Paulo, operating internal flights. This is an ATR 72 plane, we're told, travelling from Cascavel in the state of Paraná to Guarulhos in Sao Paulo. 7 fire crews sent, but at the moment there has been no description, no explanation of what may have caused this horrific crash.
Viewers, you can see how far the eyes of Jesus Christ can reach. Yes, even in our situations, this is to remind us that Jesus Christ sees it and he is concerned about it, to grant us solutions to our problems. Do not forget, this channel is all about Jesus Christ. Keep watching God Voice TV.